Yes. Can I ask Zara? You ask your question. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So my question is a little bit unrelated, but there's something that I keep seeing on like different social media and just hearing from word of mouth that it is prohibited for us to make dua for people who have passed away as non-Muslim or disbelievers, and people are saying that in relation to Aaron Bushnell, he was a man who set himself on fire because of what was going on in Palestine, and as a way to like talk about Palestine and say free as a protest. And people are saying that we can't pray for him, so I wanted to know if that's true.
Uh, my response is that people who say this are either mistaken, they've not understood the Quran, and worse still is that they are arrogant. Uh, we cannot pray for anyone about whom we are absolutely sure that the Almighty has decided that he is not going to be forgiven. And we have no knowledge, no understanding of anyone except Pharaoh, Abu Lahab, etc. About nobody else we have any idea whether they're going to be forgiven or not. But I want to add two more things. One is that Ibrahim alayhi salam's father was a polytheist. He never responded positively to his invitation to faith. He was a part of the punishment that was uh, that was sent to his nation. And yet Ibrahim alayhi salam continued to pray for him for very long. You know how long? As long as until the house of Allah was being constructed. This famous prayer that most people from the subcontinent say when they say their prayers towards the end. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. You know whose prayer is this? Ibrahim alayhi salam. He prayed it at the time when he was constructing the Kaaba. For whom? For a person who was a registered, confirmed mushrik. So what are you talking about? You can't pray for people who are not Muslim. And then another interesting passage I would mention. On the day of judgment, on the day of judgment, when everything will have happened and decision is going to be taken, the Almighty is going to ask Isa alayhi salam, did you tell them that they should declare you my son and your mother too as divine? Well, he said, oh God, I said to them whatever you taught me. And when you called me back, you were the one who was there. I have no knowledge of it. And he said something. And towards the end, he also said, what in taghfir lahum. And if you forgive them, you are the one who is mighty. You have the authority. So he would say about people who had committed shirk. So no, it's absolutely wrong. I think we must pray for everybody because we don't know uh, who is going to get what fate. And I also say that we should pray for the non-Muslims because in our prayer we should say to the Almighty that please forgive them if they did not accept your message. I have this feeling that probably I didn't do enough. I didn't do anything actually. What did we do? So there's no truth in it.
So I have a question. When we look at the word they, we are categorizing the world as Muslims, Jews, Christians, Hindus, and so on. And then when you look within even Islam, we are saying we are seeing different sects. And the fact is that in every religion, as you're just mentioning, the Christians and Jews, people are who believe in the Almighty, and they're doing good deeds, right? So do you think there's another way to to you know to categorize the world and say, these are the believers, and like because what I see is that all these subdivisions are creating conflict between humanity. And so within Islam, ISIS will do something and the whole world will say, oh, the Muslims, right? And I think it's time to recategorize the people who certain characteristics. And of course, every religion is different, and there are certain things which are conflicting, and that's clear. But there are more things which bring us together. Even Jews, even Christians, and any faith, even Hindus. I have Hindu friends who believe in a bigger authority. Yes, we have. So I'm just thinking there's another way to categorize, especially in today's age when everybody's fighting with each other and we have this big conflict going on. And you are seeing that even like this person like Ellen Bushnell, and they are feeling the heat, and I feel the grouping is more good or bad, evil or good. So I'm just wondering if you see there's another way to split the world, not as per religion, but as per certain characteristics, uh, which bring people together rather than separate.
I mean, your question deserves a much longer answer, but let me try to be as brief as I can be. You see, the entire humankind, uh, can be united, ought to be united, because there are two things that are common to all. We have all been created by one God, one Creator, and we have all emerged from the same parents, Adam and Eve. So we are all humans, brothers and sisters. But that's one thing. The question of religion has become problematic, not because the religion itself is preaching that there should be hatred. It's because of, I think, two reasons. The more important reason is the attitude that we are not prepared to talk to each other. And when we don't talk to each other, then we are bound to have negative thoughts about others. I only became more positive about Christians when I started talking to them. And I realized that they are as good as we are, or even better in many ways. Obviously, there's some weaknesses as well. So that's one thing, attitude. And the other thing is that there are problematic, call them verses, in most texts. The verses of the divine texts are not negative at all. There is no possibility, but they have not been properly understood. I mean, let's face it, for example, in the Quran, there is mentioned that get hold of them and kill them. So now, how do you understand? So there's no other way to get out of this difficulty except that we acknowledge that we all are incomplete. We are understanding. We need to talk to each other. We all share, humanity. We are all human beings created by the Almighty and from the same family. And let's keep talking to each other. And one thing more, I mentioned it somewhere, and there were people belonging to other faiths also, and the statement was well received. I said to them that, I'm telling you what I tell my fellow believers as well, that don't ever forget that we are Muslims. It's the most likely possibility is because we were born Muslim. Had we been born Christians or Hindus, we would have been Christians, Hindus. So why is this? What is this fuss all about? I mean, just try to understand your religion and sympathetically understand the other religion. The last thing I would want to say is, why this problem arises? At least I can tell you about Muslims. This problem has arisen because we read in the Quran that those people who were not Muslims, Quran declared them as kafirs. It was because the Prophet himself was physically present. He presented the message so effectively that those who were evil people, they rejected. Those who were good people, they believed. This is something that's going to happen only when a prophet is around. Otherwise, somebody has rightly said, all societies have good people and bad people. You know, the Almighty, the way He's arranged this design of this life is going to happen. So what happened is that Muslims generalized what they understood from the Quran. The Quran was saying about the time of the Prophet. They generalized it to the later times as well, which I believe is one of the biggest blunders that we have committed. And describing non-Muslims as kafirs, which is what I am trying to plead and fight, that is absolutely wrong.